and another episode of The Scoop, featuring Canadian heavyweight boxing champion and legend Bola. How you doing tonight, Bola?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining us. What do you got tonight?
Well, again, first and foremost, my name is Bola Raymond Oldwally, and this is, again, the second episode of The Scoop. I would like to take this time to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to give my perspective as to the issues surrounding boxing both today and yesteryear. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing headgear or no headgear in the amateur ranks when it comes to competitions. On the heels of two nationally televised professional fights in November of 1982, the course of amateur boxing took a turn for the better, in my opinion, with the introduction of headgear in all competitions. Dooku Kim, a South Korean fighter, fought an absolute war against Ray Boom Boom Mancini, which resulted in Dooku Kim being brutally knocked out in the 14th round, and then later, 8 days later, succumbing to his injuries and dying. Another fight that happened days later, was the legendary fight between Randall Tex Cobb and Larry the Easton Assassin Holmes, where it was a one-sided shellacking. Now, by then, the new equipment protocols was put into place. It was nothing shy of a Band-Aid solution to increase. It was nothing shy of a Band-Aid solution put in place by the Amateur International Boxing Association to address the growing concerns of safety of the sport and increased negative publicity. The 2016 Olympics will be the first games in 32 years where male boxers didn't wear headgear. Females did. AIBA justified this decision, or the justification for this decision was that their research concluded that wearing headgear increased the likelihood of head concussion and blows-related trauma to the head. Their research examined two scenarios. First, researchers examined fight stoppages due to head blows from their World Series boxing scenario, which was it was a prelude to, at least it was supposed to be a prelude to a professional fights sort of thing. I believe that your record from those fights actually count as professional fights. Secondly, the research looked at stoppages during three world championships between 2009, 2011, and 2013. 2009 and 2011, they wore headgear. 2013, they didn't. It was hypothesized that the headgear, by increasing diameter and surface of the head, gave a false sense of safety. Boxers were engaged in more high-risk behavior and than they would without headgear. In conclusion, the study reported the removal of headgear from AIBA competitions. Boxers seem to reduce the rate of stoppages due to headgear, due to blows to the head. Additionally, the study's author hypothesized that boxers became more experienced fighters without headgear. No. And that educational head up program, which is like the movement of your head defensively, came into effect, and the rate of cuts even decreased. Now, the true issue that needs to be addressed at this time and currently, well, in my most humblest opinion, is concussions and how to reduce and treat them. That's it. That's all. From my experience, headgear does nothing to prevent concussions. You get caught with a shot. A headgear doesn't absorb it, doesn't deflect the force, doesn't do anything. You feel the shot. Now, granted, I fought my whole boxing career as either a super heavyweight in the amateurs or a heavyweight as a pro, but I know bantamweights with crazy power. Steve Molitor stopped guys. He's fought at 122 pounds. So I know for a fact that it does nothing. It does nothing to curb concussions. What headgear is actually really good for is the prevention of cuts. I can honestly say that in my amateur career, I was never cut once. Actually, I remember the first cut I got was my fourth pro fight, and it came from a headbutt. So, yeah. Dr. Robert Cantu said, "The idea that headgear prevents concussions is ludicrous to begin with. Only to add, it would be great if it did, but to think that taking off the headgear leads to fewer concussions doesn't make any sense either." Meanwhile, Mark Adams, a spokesperson for the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, said medical and technical data that the organization gathered leading up to the Rio Games, the 2016 Games, showed fewer concussions without headgear. Okay. Cynthia Burr of the University of Southern California, biomechanical research, who was evaluated boxing equipment for USA Boxing, makes a claim that there's still a lot of research needed to be done when it comes to headgear wearing resulting in concussions or more concussions. And yet, female athletes still wear headgear. And that is due to lack of data. Burr claims that AIBA did not respond to the request for comments on their last statement. Take that how you will. It's been hypothesized that concussions aren't as much an issue for women because often they lack the power to cause brain injuries with their punches. That's AIBA saying that, not me. I would love for them to, whoever said that, to accept a hook from Ann Wolfe and then make that statement. You know, wow. Oh, wow, that's incredible. Okay. According to the Sports Lawyers Journal, researchers found participating in amateur boxing matches may diminish neurocognitive function despite the use of headgear. The SLJ also reports that Becky Zalentes, a college geography teacher, was the first woman to die in a sanctioned amateur boxing bout, even though she received a punch in the head while wearing headgear, and ringside physician was immediately there. Now, I cannot argue the findings by AIBA that due to increased diameter of the athlete's head, the headgear would create a larger target. And in doing so, increase the likelihood of getting caught with a concussive blow. But I do believe that the rate with which the increase cannot be significant. They can prove me wrong, and I'd love to see the data, but I can't see it. I've been boxing 28 years. To think that the headgear was going to be that incrementally bigger, make your target that much bigger, that it's going to offset that much, no, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. As for their second claim, I have to say, it's just not true. Full stop. I realize that there's several different brands of headgear. And like I said, in my 28 years of being in the sport, I've had easily a dozen. I've worn easily a dozen, if not, no, even more. Using other friends and stuff like that. The notion that my vision could be impaired by the headgear is ludicrous. This is a competition headgear. It fits snug to the head. Now, I know that there's some evil people out there who's going to make fun of the size of my head. And all I can say is, Chris Johnson, you're a wretch. Steve Molitor, go crawl under a rock. And Julius, I just don't like you. So leave it at that. But the size of my head isn't bigger by magnitudes with the headgear on. Most importantly, in accordance to your second claim, this is what is known as an open face headgear, as opposed to a sparring headgear with what is known as lugs or cheek protectors, okay? Open face, it does not impede my vision at all. My periphery, I don't know how to show it to you, but I can barely see the line on the outside through my peripheral as I'm staring into the monitor. So how can they say that it impairs their vision? What about it impairs their vision? If you have to stand this way and a blow's coming from over here, you have bigger problems than the headgear, okay? It's just not true. the headgear is maybe adds an inch, and I'm being generous, maybe half an inch. Yeah, maybe an inch, a half an inch either side of your head to the diameter of your face. So that's the target. And this is supposed to change the likelihood of being caught by so much. Yes, I do agree. Like, yes, it makes your head bigger. Noticeably, I don't see it. I don't see it. As you may have heard from my earlier show, I'm a big supporter of bringing the standing 8 count back into the rules for both amateur and professional alike. I truly believe in the event that an athlete endures more than 4 unanswered punches, that anything other than a jab or multiple jabs, that the contest should be stopped and the athlete assessed. Now, in the event that the athlete is in the middle of a punch combination, I am not suggesting that the referee stop after the 4th punch, but allow the combination to end and then stop it and evaluate the athlete, even if the athlete's still standing. This would take away from the aggressor losing out on any opportunities to stop the fight and would give the sport yet another genuine opportunity to not just minimize the opportunity of severe concussions, but to make the sport safer. Before we wrap things up today, I'd like to reiterate, before we wrap things up today, I'd like to reiterate the thought and comments of my opinions are based on personal experience. I appreciate injuries are on a case-by-case basis, and as a result may vary. I would urge all competitors to consult their trainer and physician before making any decision, for that matter, when it comes to the boxing. But with that being said, I've said a lot here. I know it's controversial. Like, leave a comment, most importantly, subscribe to the show. It's your boy Bola, and this is The Scoop. If you like this episode, again, please like, subscribe. I look forward to hearing the comments on this one. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Ray. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
I guess we'll see you tomorrow night.
We will see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Cheers.